Oh shit.
Jesus.
My Connex is doing something fucked up right now.
This dude is bad, and he ain't just fly. He's super fly, yeah.
Alright guys,
Super fly.
Glyphs. This is going to be my afterthoughts video after having used these for about a month now, and I'm just going to touch on some things as it pertains to FPV. A lot of the reviews on these goggles or these this video headset is based off of using them for, you know, personal theater, not so much for what we're using them for, and that's FPV flight. So I think there's some information missing. I'm going to go over what I think is good, bad, or you know what you're going to have to kind of deal with or give up if you want to go to this, because just like everything else in this hobby, everything's give and take. And I'm going to briefly touch on some Connex stuff, since that's what I'm flying with this, and what I think. So here we go. Okay, so the first thing is going to be obviously the picture quality, and I'm just going to let you know that I'm coming from Dominator V3s to this. Okay, so I was already flying 16:9, and these are 16:9. Okay, that's just, you know, the shape of the screen. Everyone knows that. But the picture quality, these use DLP chips. Okay, so there's no lines of resolution. There are, but they're measured in a different way. It's like mirrors or something like that. But basically, whatever you hook into this thing, okay, whether it's your teeny whoop, whether it's your 5-inch, whatever picture is coming in, your laptop, a movie, whatever, you do not see lines of resolution like you can see on you know, any other goggle headset that uses an actual screen. Okay, so the picture is incredibly good. I was blown away. This is a little VM275 on my teeny whoop, and the picture on that thing was just better than any analog 5-inch that I've flown. Okay, the picture was just incredibly good. So, you know, you're dealing with mirrors, you're not dealing with lines of resolution, and because of that, no matter what you look at through these things, the picture is going to be incredible. So that being said, you need to get these things just right, and when I say just right, I mean you need to set them. Once they're set, you're good to go. There's a lot of adjustments on here to do that. I've seen a lot of videos where people are like, I can't get it to you know, one eye's defocused, blah blah blah, whatever. Okay, if you can't get these things to work with your face, you got a jacked up face, and I'm sorry. Okay, after, you know, first of all, you want your retina to sit as close to this thing as possible. So, you know, when you're picking your nose pieces out, again, just to show you, okay, they're like this. You can see these stems will control the distance there. Okay, so once you get the right one for you, pop it in. Okay, there's a wheel right here that will actually adjust that height now, up and down. All right, so I'll just show you. Okay, so you see it going down, and then you can wheel it all the way up. Mine ride all the way up. I wish it would go a little bit higher, actually. Then you've got your IPD adjustments up here. Okay, so you can see as I move these left and right, the optics move left and right. Okay, so pick the right nose piece, get your IPD adjustment set, get your height set of the optics, which is done by this little wheel, and then the last thing you're going to do is focus each optic. And like I was telling you earlier, you just pop these things out, right? So when you're going to fly, you just pop these out and adjust these, just grip them and just leave them. Okay, you won't need to do that again if you don't mess with them. Okay, so that's how you're going to set these, and then of course you can set the comfort of your ear and where it rests on your nose with the side extensions. Okay, so that's that. The overall build quality of this thing is pretty damn good. The leather is really nice. There's a really cushy, very thick layer of foam here. You can see that it's very comfortable. It's not perforated, but it has like a perforated kind of texture to it. And I've not flown with it in middle of summer yet, so I don't know if it gets too sweaty, if it it's going to slide around. I won't know that, but I feel like it'll do a pretty good job of holding true. So anyway, that's how you're going to adjust these, the adjustments that you're going to need to make to get them right to fit and give you a good picture. Okay, so when you put them on, just like this, that's how they work. Okay, you want to make sure your eyes are all the way up, as close to the lens as possible. If you don't put them up close, what will happen is when I first put them on, I actually went with a longer nose piece like this, and I went out to fly, and I was actually finding myself like looking around. I'm like, why am I doing this? Because I didn't know what was going on. Then I analyzed the situation. I said, well, I actually can't see the corners of the screen. I'm just focusing in the middle. When I was going into a turn or something, I would look, kind of leading into the turn a little bit, and I was turning my head because I was trying to look into the lens to get down into the corner of the picture. I was like, man, that's crazy. And the field of view actually says 32 or whatever it is. It didn't even feel like that. It felt smaller than my V3s. So I figured out, well, let's put a different nose piece in, and that actually set my eyes closer to the optics, and then I was able to see full picture. The picture was bigger. It looks bigger, much bigger than my Dominator V3s. Not much bigger, but it's a noticeable difference, which is nice. And I was able to see just better overall. Okay. Ergonomically, these things are not bad. I don't know if I'd watch a movie for an hour with them on my face, but I had the Vuzix, and the Vuzix, the off button was actually down here, and when I grabbed this thing, it was a weird spot. Like, I actually had to stretch my thumb out to find it, and it just became annoying. I would just take them off and then turn them off this way. A small thing, but when I grab these, on my natural grip, the on-off button is so intuitively placed that it's nicer for me to turn these things on and off with the button being back here. So you get an HDMI cable. You get, I'll just go over what you get with it. You get this little cleaning rag. You get all those nose pieces, and you get this little leather strap deal. Okay, these are goggles. They're not really headphones. I mean, they can be used as headphones, yes, but this is what you have to do to use them as headphones. And to the extent of putting this thing on, if you want to, keep your optics clean, right? Okay, now they're headphones. And speaking about the headphones, okay, I mean, this is just not sexy, okay? I mean, look at this. That's just goofy as all get out, okay? They have Bluetooth, but you can't stream your music with the Bluetooth, okay? The only way you can get audio into this thing is actually by providing the audio jack or the audio that comes in over your HDMI cable. The HDMI cable is long, okay? It's good length if you're running a ground station. And then you also get this thing. This is basically a headset where if you feel the need to, if the goggles are slipping down, you plug these things in here and in here, and it gives you support. I haven't found that I need it. They hold to my face really well. So anyway, yeah, I would not use these really as headphones. I would really just use these for our FPV flying. Okay, so there's going to be two deal breakers for you, I think. Okay, one is probably going to be more popular than the other, and that is, can you deal with going from a standard aspect ratio for what we're using 4:3 to 16:9? Okay, that's going to be a deal breaker for some people. As we're flying our mini quads, you have less vertical picture when you're at cruise. Okay, so when you are flying 16:9, you see about that much picture in front of you. Okay, I don't know if this is a good representation, but you'll get it or you won't. When you go to 4:3, you get that much. So as you're pitching up and down with a 4:3, you get more view. You can see more in front of you. 16:9, that's kind of taken away from it a little bit. Okay, so that's going to be a big deal breaker, especially for people who race. Okay, the other thing is whether or not you can deal with not being in such an immersive environment when you put these goggles on. When you put them on, you can still see. I'm looking up just a little bit, okay? Can't see the camera. Now I can see the camera. This is something that's going to be of a concern. People like that fully immersive feeling, and if that's just going to be a deal breaker for you, that's going to be a deal breaker for you. I personally have found that it's been okay. It's kind of been like a lateral. It's not better, it's not worse. There's some things I like about it. There's things that I don't like about it. I can look at my radio. When I just look up just a little bit and I'm holding my radio in my hands, I can look down, I can look at my radio, I can make changes, I can do things. Or, really what I use the most is I'll put my goggles on first, I'll get my video going, and I'll grab my quad, I'll plug it in, throw it out in the field, whatever, pick up my stuff. I can just see around me, and I kind of like that. So it's going to be one of those two things that does it for you. But if you're just looking at picture, even on the analog stuff, not digital, picture is so much better. It is so much better. And when you're looking at the price point, everybody can get a coupon for these things, $450 versus the standard goggles set from like Fat Shark or something like that, where they're, let's just say the HD3s. The picture is nowhere near as good. Nowhere near as good. And if the aspect ratio thing isn't a problem for you, if you like the 16:9, I would say get the Dominator V3s over the HD3s. I did not see a difference. Maybe I'm just weird, but I couldn't see a noticeable change like you can in the video quality when you go to these. So for me to spend $450 on this, I felt much better about doing that than I did the HD3s. Okay, one other elephant in the room that I didn't talk about yet, which I need to, is, what do you do when you fly your analog stuff? Because this is digital. Well, this is what I do. Okay, I now have an analog ground station, and unfortunately, in a perfect world, I could have, a LaForge or something tapped into this, and I can get my analog and digital converter box and all that stuff. But this is a digital converter box, and what I have is my video coming out from my receiver into here, and then my HDMI just plugs into the side, and this goes into my Glyphs, and I'm ready to rock and roll on the analog. Well, you're converting. Is there latency? None that I can tell. I'm not the fastest. I'm certainly not slow. I can race with this just fine. Okay? Now, that being said, if you want the best picture quality possible with analog, you have to check out the 16:9 Monster Cam. The Monster Cam V2. They got a V3 coming out. Unfortunately, I hate to admit it, but my Connex build with the Glyphs looks probably 5-10% better than my analog setup with the Monster Cam. That picture is incredible. The camera's a pain in the ass to focus, but once you get it down, it's freaking good. I don't know if I would have, I don't know if I could justify buying a Connex. At that price point for the system, $499, whatever it is, I would just buy another set of goggles, spend $20 on Amazon for a converter box, and I'd call it a day. because that picture is badass. Okay, so that's that. As far as the Connex goes, things that I wanted to touch on, I kind of like the Connex system. This is my ground station. This is how I kind of have it set up. I put LiPo in here. Okay, I got a USB deal here. This actually will tell me my voltage and a 5-volt USB out. The reason why I use that is because this requires 5 volts. And while I don't have another one purchased just for this, what I'm using to power it right now is just a battery bank, right? Something that you'd use to charge your cell phone. But I plan on buying another one of these and putting it on here. That way I got one LiPo to power everything. We're good to go. But anyway, I've got a DVR on my Connex. The DVR gives you an option to attach a microphone, which is nice. And all my DVR footage is recorded right onto this SD drive. So I love this. As far as the DVR goes, this is so much better than anything that the Fat Sharks are going to give you. Okay, but of course it's not going to give you the picture, you know, what you actually see. Everyone knows that the DVR doesn't look as good in the goggles, and it's the same thing here with this. Okay, so I get my audio pit chatter, which is cool. Instead of hearing the motors on the mini quad, when I go back and watch the DVR, it's funny to listen to, you know, you going, oh shit, you know, and your buddies and all that, and having a good time. So that's the setup that I've got right now. So HDMI out of the Pro site into the DVR, and the video comes out. So the Connex system, I actually pancaked my rig the other day, and I'll throw a picture up of that. The Connex system is durable. I crashed in the pond, and I'll show you that right now. Okay, I took the stuff out. A week later, you know, I'd let it dry. A week later, I threw it back on this build. It was fine. Video came through fine. I then pancaked it, like you just saw, and VTX camera works fine. I had to print a new case for the camera, but it's on Thingiverse, and so thank you, Michael, for doing that. But the reason why I think it survived is because I did not hard mount my VTX. So if you go back, let's look at that picture again, and you can see how the standoffs, everything's all balled up and whatever and nasty, but the VTX is supported by a TPU mount, and that TPU mount allowed it to flex and not crack the PCB in here. So what I'm getting at is basically your Connex gear. I think an integral part of its survival is how you actually mount this thing. Okay, and I think this Evo Hyperlight frame does probably the best job of that. I've had a couple frames that I've built and flown and tested and all that, and this has just kind of been my favorite so far. So anyway, that's it. You know, the Glyphs, they're good. They're really good. I definitely feel good about swallowing that pill of buying those versus, you know, the HD3s. Would it be nice to just throw the HD3s on if I wanted to fly my teeny whip in the house and not have to set up the ground station and all that shit? Yeah, of course, it would be nice. That's another one of those trade-offs. So would I recommend you the Glyphs? Yes, absolutely. If you're considering the HD3s and you think you can adapt to having you know, the ability to see your surrounding and not being so immersed, and the 16:9 aspect ratio is not an issue for you, I would definitely recommend you the Glyphs over the HD3s. I just think if you're spending that much money, you're spending that much money because what are you after? You're in search of better picture quality, right? The Glyphs got it. So that's it. Hope you enjoy.